Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. It is such a pleasure to welcome you all to the 22nd Annual Women in STEM Dinner. It is a privilege to be up here and celebrating Women's History Month. Thank you all for being here and celebrating. My name is Garcia-Becerra, and I'm your host for the evening. I'm a fourth year studying mechanical engineering and the co-president of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers here on campus. I'm honored to be part of the STEM community where we have such amazing, powerful, and intelligent women. It is so lovely to also see so many of our supportive allies here to help further encourage an environment that fuels the intellectual vitality of women in STEM. I would now like to start to invite some of our powerful women in STEM from across campus to the stage to say a few words as we kick off the program. Each speaker will have 1 to 2 minutes. And first up, we have Koch. She is here as part of the SU Women in STEM community. So please give her a...
Hi everyone, my name is Koch and I'm a senior general engineering major. In a lot of spaces, classrooms, labs, teams, internships, often I will find that I'm one of a few women in the room. And at first you notice it, you become more aware of yourself. But over time I realized that awareness is not a weakness, it just pushes you to step into that room with more confidence. When I first got to Santa Clara, I didn't know many other girls in STEM. My mom came across a post that Women in STEM was looking for a social media manager and encouraged me to get involved. I signed up. I started by running the Instagram. What I did not anticipate was that through the meetings and events, I would meet other women who were navigating the same spaces that I was. I did not join looking for community, but in the end, that was exactly what I found. Later, when I had the privilege of serving as president of Women in STEM, I began to see that same search in other students, that desire to find people that they could relate to. As president, my perspective shifted. It was not just about being involved anymore, it was about creating a space where others could feel like they could walk in and belong. Being a woman in STEM to me was never about proving that we belong. We know that we belong, and by creating this community, we help others realize they also belong. For me, this has meant taking up space with intention and then keeping the door open behind me. Thank you.
Next up, we have Priyanka Ganguly as part of the Association of Computer Machinery Women's Chapter, or better known as ACM-W.
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I want to thank you so much for being here this evening. Looking around this room and seeing so many people gathered to support women in STEM is extremely powerful. It reminds me that none of us are doing this alone. My name is Priyanka Ganguly, and I'm a second-year computer science student minoring in responsible AI and management information systems here at Santa Clara University. There have been moments in my journey where I have felt out of place. I've been one of 3 girls in an engineering class of 30 students. I've been the only girl on a hackathon team, sitting at a table full of laptops and wondering if I truly belong there. In those moments, you become hyper-aware of yourself, how you speak, whether your ideas are good enough, whether you should say something or stay quiet. And sometimes the hardest part isn't the technical challenge. It's the quiet voice in your head asking, do I deserve to be here? But what I've learned is this: belonging isn't something you wait to be given. It's something you build together. That's what spaces like ACM-W have meant to me. ACM-W, the women's chapter of the Association for Computing Machinery at Santa Clara University, isn't just about workshops or technical events. It's about creating rooms where women don't feel like the exception. It's about giving students a place to ask questions without the fear of judgment. It's about seeing other women lead, build, fail, try again, and succeed, and realizing that you can too. We host technical workshops, bring in women in industry to share their stories, mentor underclassmen through programs like Cyber Sisters, and organize events like Hack for Humanity, which was actually this past weekend. But at the heart of all of this, it is something much simpler: community. As a mentor in Cyber Sisters, I've had conversations about difficult classes, internship rejections, imposter syndrome, and self-doubt. And every time I'm reminded that talent isn't the barrier, confidence often is. When women see other women building, leading, and taking up space in technical fields, it changes what feels possible. Being part of ACM-W has helped me grow not only as a programmer, but as a leader. It has given me the confidence to speak up, to take risks, and to support others the way I once needed support. So tonight, I don't just want to celebrate women in STEM. I want to celebrate the courage it takes to walk into rooms where you feel outnumbered, the resilience it takes to keep going, and the power of the communities that remind us that we belong there. To every student who has questioned whether they fit in, you do. And to everyone here who continues to uplift women in STEM, your support truly changes lives. Thank you so much.
Next is Isabella Rodriguez from the Women's Network.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to start off by saying thank you to the organizers of this event. Thank you so much for celebrating us and specifically celebrating women in STEM. My name is Isabella Rodriguez, and I'm a junior studying electrical and computer engineering here at Santa Clara. And I'll be very honest, if you had told younger me that I was a third year in engineering, I almost see the light at the end of the tunnel, I would have laughed in your face and said, no, that's not me. That's totally not my experience. Do you have the right person? I wasn't the kid that stereotypically was the math genius or was building robots since they were 7. I actually had never touched a computer programming app before I got here, and I was never the smartest person in the room, and I still sometimes am not. But I've learned something really important about being a woman in STEM, and it's not that you have to be the person who understands everything immediately when you're in a classroom, but it's about knowing that you just have to keep showing up. You have to keep up the work, you have to keep up your effort, and being Mexican and a first-generation engineering student, which means a lot of the times I'm navigating spaces that I would never have navigated before and my family hasn't had access to. There's moments in my classes where I feel like I'm the only one struggling, I'm the only one with my background or my life experience, and the only one questioning whether I really belonged here. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, as the last 2 speakers have said. Sometimes you do really question, do I belong here? For me, the thing that changed everything was community. I ended up co-founding the first Mexican student club here on campus, which is called MEXT, and that created a whole different community for me that supported me socially, academically, and professionally. And which is also why I'm honored to serve as the chapter president of the Women's Network here at SEU, because at the end of the day, being a woman in STEM isn't just about surviving the hard classes or the all-nighters or even the occasional imposter syndrome, but it's about building spaces where other women can also feel safe and like they belong. I want the younger generation of girls to walk into engineering classrooms and see other girls that look like them, see other girls that speak their language. And if anything that I've done or still have yet to do will help make that path a little easier for the next generation of women in STEM, that I'm sure that every late night that we've all gone through and every moment of doubt that we've all gone through is definitely going to be worth it in the end. So I ask you that you keep following your goals. You're going to achieve them even if times seem hard. And if you haven't gotten that summer internship yet, you will get it, you will accomplish it, and I'm sure we will hear from very successful women in the next couple of minutes. So thank you so much for being here and celebrating us.
Next, we have Chris Shobe and Grace Perriman from the Sioka Center Advisory Board.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Grace Perryman, and I'm a senior finance major and co-chair of the Student Advisory Board for the Sioka Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
And I'm Chris Shobe, a computer science and engineering major, former student advisory board member, and current board member of ACM.
On behalf of the Sioka Center, we're so honored to be here celebrating this 22nd Annual Women in STEM Dinner.
Tonight is about something powerful and simple, representation.
The Sioka Center empowers students to think entrepreneurially, to identify problems, take initiative, and build solutions that create movement.
And that mindset is deeply connected to STEM. Entrepreneurship relies on engineers, scientists, and technical leaders who are willing to imagine something better and then build it.
The Student Advisory Board works to ensure innovation is inclusive and accessible to every student.
And as a non-binary person in engineering, I've known how important that inclusion is. When you don't always see yourself reflected in a space, representation changes everything.
For too long, the image of who belongs in STEM has been too narrow.
But innovation doesn't thrive on sameness.
It thrives on curiosity,
On courage,
on collaboration.
and on diverse perspectives.
You are what an engineer looks like.
You are what innovation looks like.
And you're not just participating in STEM, you're shaping it.
We saw that last weekend with Hack for Humanity, where ACM, ACM-W, and the Sioka Center all came together to support students building real social impact solutions.
When community meets opportunity,
And representation meets leadership.
it expands what feels possible.
So keep asking bold questions.
Keep taking up space.
Keep building what doesn't yet exist.
And know that the Sioka Center is here to support you every step of the way.
Thank you, and congratulations to everyone being recognized tonight.
Next is Sahana Kumar from College of Arts and Sciences.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Sahana and I'm speaking as a representative of the College of Arts and Sciences as an ambassador. If you were here last year, you heard me speaking last year as a representative for a club. And in hindsight, the words that I said last year talking about making change from the inside and being the only person that may or may not be in the room that looks like me, I was talking a lot about kind of lived experience of what it meant to be the only person in the room that looked like me, and we've heard that a lot today. And I ended up leaving that club because it was really, really hard to be the only person that looked like me, that was the constant dissenter, that was kind of always trying to say, actually, I think we should be maybe doing it in this way and maybe not that way. And I feel a little guilty because I can't stand here and be like, look at all of the amazing things I'm achieving when I ended up doing the one thing I said I wouldn't do last year. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and why I think that making change from the inside can also be making change from a bigger inside, and how I think that raising your voice in different venues can still mean raising your voice. So as the rest of you are here, we are minorities in STEM, and oh my God, it sucks so much, right? I mean, it's like every other minute you're looking around you and you're like, I do not feel happy here. I am not the one that's supposed to be talking in class, and it's a nightmare, honestly. And I felt that for the longest time. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to join a club. I'm going to do what I can to talk about what's important to me. And I did that. And I think that I really did make an impact in the space that I was in. But I felt like time and time again, my voice wasn't being listened to. So I started talking to other people about that. I was talking about my professors. I was talking about it to my mentors in the Markula Center. And I ended up getting a fellowship this year where my work is basically doing just that. How can we integrate ethics within the engineering curriculum, specifically such that all of these groups that are historically not talked about can start getting talked about? And so this is kind of a completely different venue. You know, I used to work very much deeply in the engineering school, sitting pretty in it and kind of doing that hard work and feeling like it just wasn't really working out for me. And now I've pivoted. And I think that's a really important lesson for me and potentially for you guys, that doing the really hard work of kind of constantly saying, hey guys, like maybe this could work, maybe this might work, may also not work. And that sucks to hear. I'm a senior now, so I'm out of here soon. And I know it sucks. One thing that I've been thinking a lot about is, will I leave having made an impact for people? And I think the more important question to ask is, will I leave having made an impact for people that can leave an impact for people? And I think that that's the good work, and I think that we're all doing that by being here, by talking about our experiences in classes, and honestly by complaining about it and complaining about it loudly. And I think that I feel like no matter where we go and where we have come from, we will slowly but surely be able to make progress, be it within the core curriculum, be it within our classrooms, be it within how we talk about our studies and how we talk about how proud we are to have gotten this far. So if you've gotten that C in that class, oh my God, it doesn't matter, because I've gotten so many C's in all of those classes. And I keep putting all that work in because I did it, you can do it. And yeah, I'm happy to say that I'm graduating and not completely questioning the entirety of the future and if we'll get a job. So yeah, thank you.
Next is Isabella Williams and Isabella Greenbaum from the Office of Multicultural Learning and the Rainbow Resource Center.
Hello, I'm Isabella Greenbaum, and I'm a junior in electrical engineering.
Hi, I'm also Isabella. Lots of Isabellas tonight. Very fun. I'm Isabella Williams. I'm a senior this year in bioengineering.
And we represent the Rainbow Resource Center in the Office for Multicultural Learning. We're right down the hall from here. Queer women and women of color face additional obstacles already being isolated by their gender, as we've seen in previous speeches. As someone who feels both isolated and strengthened from having a different identity than my peers, I'm grateful to be able to contribute to the community that our office provides. Our office provides support through our multicultural graduation ceremonies and through inclusivity workshops for various organizations, from sororities to student workers. We also host events where we celebrate diversity in our students, like Gays in the Garden, a nourishment night at the Forge Gardens. While these events can be uplifting, through community interviews, I'm called to reflect on how people can often separate their identities from their field in STEM. You often hear, despite being a woman, despite being a person of color, despite being LGBTQ+, they succeeded. However, I believe that for the future of STEM to flourish, we need to recognize the strength that diversity can bring.
And to add on to Issa's point about representation in STEM, during my time here at SCU, I've had a lot of opportunities actually to go on company tours, to go to conferences where I've met a lot of leaders in the medical device industry as well as the engineering industry. Actually, just this morning, I was able to go on a company tour, and the first room I walked into, not a single woman in sight. So it can be tough to picture yourself in those different leadership roles when you don't always see people in your identity there. I've also been in a lab here at SCU, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us have had this experience where I was the only girl in there. There's a lot of BO too, but but this is why I think coming together as a community like we are today matters so much. It's so important that we uplift each other and support one another in spaces that we aren't always represented. I'm so happy to be working at the OML where we all share this insight. And as women in STEM, you all deserve to feel proud of who you are and confident because you all came here, you all showed up, you all deserve to be here today. So yeah, and with that, feel free to stop by the OML or the RRC whenever you guys would like. We're always here, up for a chat. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out today.
Next is Paulette Palafox with the School of Engineering Graduate Program.
Good evening, women of STEM. I'm so happy to be here. First, I want to congratulate all the wonderful women that just spoke ahead of me, who were honest, truthful, talked about their experiences, what they think about the future for themselves. And I want you to know that you are a powerful person that within you has the key to be successful in whatever it is you want to do. Are there going to be rough days? Absolutely. Have you seen my gray hair? But honestly, I think the community that you have created here is really special. And I did not major in a STEM field, but I did major in economics when I was an undergraduate, and that was a really difficult position. So I can relate to you because it was mostly male dominated. And at that time, it really was just my own thoughts within myself to say, every day I'm going to pursue what I'm interested in, which was economics, strangely. but the idea that you have to get up every day and shake your doubts away and move forward. And I think you all have done that and accomplished that by continuing in the majors that you have selected and showing up today for each other. So hopefully you will find the resolve in yourself. You will find allies. You will find just one person that allows you an opportunity to showcase your skills and abilities. And I really am grateful to be here. And I do represent the graduate programs, admissions and student affairs for all the graduate students. So if you are interested in staying on and becoming a double Bronco, please feel free to stop by and talk to any of us on the team. But more than anything, just keep going. And I'm really proud of you all. Go Broncos.
Next is Izzy Perez for the Society of Women Engineers.
Hi, my name is Izzy Perez, and I'm the president of Society of Women Engineers. I am a senior studying computer science and engineering, and I plan to work at Abbott on the cloud platform team after graduating. I was able to find this job opportunity at SWE conference this past year in New Orleans. Because of SWE, I have learned how to navigate the professional world while also finding a community that supports women in engineering. Our chapter of Society of Women Engineers at Santa Clara University strives to empower women to pursue and achieve excellence in STEM, furthering the notion of engineering for the greater good and demonstrating the need for diversity and inclusion in this industry. Through our social events on campus, we connect Santa Clara students hosting community-based events for our members to de-stress from their demanding coursework and connect with their peers. One of our favorite events is our bouquet making event, where we buy a variety of different flowers and members can come take a break from studying to make a small bouquet for their room. We also host professional events with companies in Silicon Valley committed to diversity in engineering, providing more opportunities for underrepresented demographics. I first joined SWE freshman year at the club fair. I walked by the booth and met Nina Ekathon, who was a senior in computer engineering at the time. She instantly became a strong mentor for me by helping me with class schedules and inviting me to SWE events. She became my first role model in engineering and gave me motivation to become a mentor for others. SWE has helped me gain confidence in my technical skills, feel heard in a room where I don't feel I belong, and led me to meeting some of my best friends. To describe the SWE community a bit better, I wanted to share a personal story that showed me the community I was a part of. Last February, my mom had a stroke and was in the ICU for 2 weeks. Not many people can understand the feeling of taking midterms in a hospital room next to your mom who can barely talk. I missed 2 weeks of school to be home with my mom, and when it was time to come back to Santa Clara, I was a mess. If it weren't for the community in SWE who picked me up from the airport that day, were the first people to give me a hug, and was the group of girls that studied with me that night, I would not be here today. SWE isn't just a professional organization, it is also a home for women in engineering. Being a senior, it's a blessing to look back at the memories I've made with this group, and I'm excited to become a part of the professional SWE organization as I move to post-grad. I'm grateful to SWE for showing me what engineering can be. A safe place to solve problems, be proud of your work, and support each other when you need it. Thank you to all the women in STEM who make the world a better place by challenging yourself and being in rooms where you feel you are the minority. I look up to all of you who are not afraid to challenge yourself, learn, and rewrite what the STEM industry looks like. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Dean Sharp for the School of Engineering.
Thank you. And I'd also like to point out that Dean Press is here from the College of Arts and Science. I'm not sure how much I have to add. Those are a wonderful suite of testimonials and personal stories that have been shared. I was thinking about what's common amongst all of them, and what I really heard was a lot about community. And that's why we're here tonight, is really to see our community, to feel supported by your communities. And I've heard that, well, I don't always feel a part of things, or I feel out of place, but that's where community, holding space for each other, is really important. And I see, it's wonderful to see so many people here this evening, including women in STEM and allies. I have a number of my staff are here. Wonderful to see them too. Things have really changed in engineering from the time that I started as a student. I started in aerospace engineering at the University of Illinois, and I think there were about my entire class, I think there were about 3 women. And we traveled through the curriculum together. And I had, in engineering, I had 1 female professor for my entire 4 years of undergraduate. And actually, potentially for my entire, graduate experience at the University of Illinois. And the one that I had, it was her very first year, and it was really difficult. So I just remember all the criticism that was levied against her, just in terms of, being in the classroom. And there was a lot, I feel like it was very easy to discriminate against women faculty at that time. The men got together and just, she was portrayed as being weak, or not because she wasn't as strong, but then if she was really strong, she was, too strong. Right? So things have really changed. It's since I have been here, I see a lot of our women faculty, and that I've seen them growing over time. I started as a faculty member at Penn State, was there for about 8 years, and then at Oregon State. And at Oregon State in 2010, I was the first female professor that had a baby in mechanical engineering while they were in mechanical engineering. And that was in 2010, so that's only 15 years ago. But as I have advanced in my career, I have come into spaces where I have seen more and more incredible women. I spent 4 years, I headed the Office of International Science and Engineering at the U.S. National Science Foundation for about 4 years, just prior to coming here. And that meant that I had leadership on the international strategy for a $9 billion federal agency. So it was a really cool opportunity, and I got to be in a lot of diplomatic spaces with the director of the agency, a presidential appointee. And over that time, I saw in the technical leadership roles, I was thinking about this just earlier, there were really 10 roles of directorates or offices that have funding, and these are engineering, biological sciences, STEM education, engineering, geosciences, and so forth. And most of them at one point in my 4 years had a female leader. And so these are people really at the top of their game. They are, in some cases, in charge of $1 billion budget that's going to go mostly out for research and education into the STEM community in the U.S. And it was just such a different experience to have these women I became very close with a lot of them, but it was such a different experience to be on this, heavily female leadership team. I also had the opportunity through a think tank there, participated in a global leadership women's program, and I had leaders it was a lot of intelligence and defense, as well as economic development and even finance. And these were women, again, really at the top of their game. And it has been just such an eye-opening experience for me for the last few years to be able to really see these women and to see how human they are and to see how we can connect. And I think it's a lot like why you're here. You're here, you're holding space for each other. You're creating community. I hope that you're meeting new people while you're doing it, that you're saying hi to some new people. I always love sitting down at a table of students. So I get to hear about you. And it's really great to see the space that's being held here tonight. And I heard a lot of that in the addresses. One thing I will say that's really changed since I was an undergraduate is the speech-making ability. I find, especially here at Santa Clara, I am just so impressed with how articulate our students are. And I think I saw that in spades this evening. So I hope that you were able to congratulate yourselves on yes, words well said. And so with that, again, really, I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate all the people who have organized this. I appreciate all of you who are here and participating, and appreciate all of the allies. So thank you for being here, and I hope that you are able to go out and continue to hold space and hold community for your colleagues. Thank you.
Let's please give one more round of applause to all of our speakers. Sharing your stories. It means a lot. And now dinner is ready, so please feel free to go ahead, grab some dinner, and then after that, we'll start our alumni. In 7 minutes. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started with the alumni panel portion tonight. So we will get started. If everyone could please quiet down a little just so that everyone can be able to hear everything. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start off. Please introduce yourselves. Let us know who you are.
Yeah. Hi. Is this on right? Hi, my name is Anaya Garadia, and I graduated in December of 2024, and I majored in science in the College of Arts and Sciences. And right now I'm working as a software engineer at Walmart Global Tech.
Hi, I'm Mark Kidder. I graduated from Purdue University in '95, and I am a software engineer at Google.
My name is Melanie Kidder. I graduated from Santa Clara in 1997. I was an accounting major. Mark and I got married in 2003. So it's okay that he's a Boilermaker for tonight. We're going to be nice to him.
Hey guys, my name is Kayala Johnson. I graduated from Santa Clara in 2020, majored in bioengineering, and then stuck around for my master's degree as well. Graduated in 2021, also in bioengineering. I currently work at a company called Tekin here in the Bay Area. We are a Swiss-based company, though, working as a technical product support manager. So I manage a small team of engineers and technicians in the life science, robotics, and fluidics space.
Okay, for our first question, what made you decide to major or work in or around STEM fields? And anyone can answer.
Yeah, so I was interested in computers when I was in like grade school, like middle school, high school. But in college or in high school, I only took one coding class, and after that, I realized that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. A lot like solving puzzles, which I absolutely loved, and I honestly don't know what I would major in if I didn't do computer science. In college, I took the beginner classes. I ended up loving it even more. I continued the whole way through, and I'm so happy I did. I think computer science is really, really amazing for problem solving and just thinking critically, and that was my favorite thing to do. And even now at work, it feels like I'm just like solving like a puzzle. Like it doesn't feel like I'm actually doing work that's boring. It feels like it's, you know, making me think and have fun every day. So yeah, that's why I majored in computer science.
So for me, it goes back to my father, who was an electronics hobbyist. And so when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I worked with him to build circuits. I even built a home computer called a Heathkit, help him solder and work the wires around. And so ever since then, I've been into computer science and science technology. And it just kind of blossomed as I went to high school and on to Purdue and onto my professional life.
So I am not a STEM major, and I am not in a STEM field, but as a CPA, I work with a lot of startups. I actually run a practice at a firm called Frank Rimmerman and Company that provides outsourced accounting and CFO services to startup companies. So I work with a lot of tech companies, a lot of startups here in the area, and I see a lot of the things, issues people face, work with a lot of engineers, and Mark and I swap stories about that. So I'm a little, one's not like the up here, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, for me, bioengineering was an interesting field. I think it stood out to me for a couple of reasons, and primarily that was because, to me, it kind of blended aspects of kind of the hard technical engineering skills while being in a more healthcare or patient care-centered field. So for me, bioengineering felt like I didn't have to choose between those two. And I'm now working in a role that's a little bit more technical. So I don't work with patients on a day-to-day basis, but I do still get to work very closely with customers who are working directly with their patients. So yeah, I got to keep both of those a little bit.
For our next question, what does it mean to be a woman in STEM? And for Mark, What does it mean to you to be an ally to women in STEM and professional spaces?
I guess for me, being a woman in STEM is being brave, not being scared to put yourself out there, try new things. I know that in a lot of spaces we are outnumbered, we're underrepresented. Sorry, I just got off of work. Yeah, I've definitely felt it in my classes, in my workplace, in my internships. But I think what's important is that we keep going, we keep trying our best, we just do the best that we can, and we learn, like, we accomplish so much just following our passion in STEM. And yeah, I just think it's just important to just support one another, especially. And that's what happened to me in ACM-W when I went to college here. I joined the community and they were so supportive. It made me just really get into the field even deeper than I was already. So I think that's the most important thing for me about being a woman in STEM is the community, for sure.
Being an ally, I kind of think of it as a kind of a holistic way where I'm thinking not just of my coworkers. You know, I think one of Isabella's mentioned that she went into a room and she was the only woman there. And so I see that a lot at Google and other companies I've been at. And there's some days where I'm never meeting with a woman at all. And I just think I think there's a lot of missed opportunity there for new ideas, different ideas to get through. But I think of it also going further back, at Purdue, I'm involved in a program called Women in Science, and one of the ways I support them, one thing I do is support their ability to reach out to middle schoolers and high schoolers to make sure that they maintain, their interest in STEM. That once they have that spark, they don't lose it; they continue it. The program provides them with mentorship and experiences working in different kinds of science fields. I have this vision of using these opportunities to create a pipeline and make sure women progress in the sciences and engineering, so that when I go into work one day, it's more representative in those meetings and not just a bunch of men.
I think as a woman in business, and especially as I've worked my way up and I'm a fractional CFO, there's many times where I'm the only female executive in the room. I'm the only female in a boardroom. And I was very fortunate as I was building my career in public accounting that I chose a great firm where there were allies and men that helped me and, didn't treat me like an only, and really invested in my career. But serving clients and being out in the business world, there's certainly, opportunities for improvement, right? So I think those experiences have driven me to, try to. Somebody earlier said, open the door and leave it open for other people, and that's absolutely true. And not only do I want to do that, I kind of want to grab somebody and yank them up with me. So that's how I think of it. The whole lift is climb, right? And keep helping people, just maybe make life a little bit easier than those before you had it.
Yeah, well said. For me, when I was a bioengineering student here at Santa Clara, and I don't know if this is still the case, I hope it is, but our program for several years was pretty 50-50 in a male to female ratio. I see nods, which I'm happy to see. And that was both for students and faculty here at Santa Clara. So it was a bit of a rude awakening when I left Santa Clara and had to enter the workforce. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it was eye-opening for me. So, when I joined my company, I was not, of course, a female, but also the youngest person at my company by probably 7 or 8 years or so. So, I not struggled, but I had to face both of those kind of at the same time. And what I'll say with that is being a woman in STEM at this point in my career still sometimes means kind of having to awkwardly interject myself into conversations. But I do think that that's changing. My company, for example, we have our first, as of this last year, our first female CEO ever, which is really encouraging to see. And I do think times are changing for the better.
Next question. Throughout your professional careers, what have been challenges that you faced? What are some that you might possibly still face? And if you have any tips, feel free to share.
Yeah, I guess throughout my career, one thing that I've faced is definitely the imposter syndrome. I think I faced it more at Santa Clara taking the classes. I'm not sure if it's more, I guess, 50-50 like bioengineering now, but at least for a lot of my computer science classes, they were mostly male dominated, and there were like maybe 5 girls in the entire class. So I definitely felt syndrome going through that. I think I also definitely felt it going into my internships in the workforce. Sometimes I'd be on teams that had, like, I was the only girl there, and then sometimes there would be maybe 2 more, but then, for example, there'd be like 10 men on the team. So I think that's definitely something that I've struggled with, feeling that I belong there, feeling that I deserve it. Like, oh, did I get this opportunity because I got lucky, or did I get this opportunity because I'm smart and I deserve it? That's definitely something that I felt in my career. I think it's a challenging part, but I've been trying to kind of get over it and not think with that mindset, and think with the mindset that I deserve to be here. You know, I deserve this opportunity just as much as anyone else. And yeah, just try not to doubt myself.
I think for me, it was knowing when to ask for help. You know, the way I was brought up, I was taught, do things on your own, don't ask for help, don't ask questions. And that actually got me in a lot of trouble in college. But even, I won't say I got in trouble in work, but I think it made my career not progress as fast as I would have liked it. It's okay to ask for help. And, you know, I teach it to the people that work for me now. When you run your problems, you know, don't sit on it. Like, you know, of course, try to figure it on your own, but don't be ashamed or be afraid to ask for help. Like, that's what we're here for. Like I said, I work at Google. I work on a database product called Spanner, and there is nobody on our team. It's a 200-person team. There's nobody that could possibly answer all the questions about our product. Nobody. So you have to be able to ask for help. I work with very senior engineers, and each one of them was like, I don't know how that works. We have to ask this person. So use resources, ask for help. Don't wait so long like I did, I guess.
A few years ago, someone had said to me, all of the female CFOs that I know are amazing. And the reason that they're amazing is because they prepare for their presentations, for their speeches, whatever they're doing, at a level that far exceeds the men, because they have to know their stuff. And if I were not at Santa Clara, I would be saying a different word. But yeah, you have to be so on your game. There's this pressure to just always have all your T's crossed, your I's dotted. So I think that's a real struggle and a real disadvantage, quite frankly, because I've actually seen male executives walk into a meeting not prepared at all, doing it. Everybody's like, "Oh, that was great." Like, it wasn't great. It might have been complete crap, but it was, perceived as great. So there is that pressure that I have, put on myself, and you've seen it. You've seen me prepare at all hours of the night for something that's really important that I just can't blow, because I feel like the consequences of that would be really detrimental, not only to myself, and just be harder to recover from. So, yeah, there's a lot there sometimes, and some of that is probably self-inflicted too. But that is definitely, especially earlier on, imposter syndrome, that's one way to overcome it, right, is just to prepare and put that pressure on yourself. So that's definitely a challenge that I've faced in my career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think my story will echo some of those sentiments as well. So a little bit of my background, actually, I'm here to say that I did not have a technical internship while I was in college, and it worked out okay. While I was at Santa Clara, I chose kind of a different path. So I was heavily involved with the Miller Center for Social Entrepreneurship, and then I was a Leavey School of Business Global Fellow the following year, so serving in the 9-month program to work with a couple of different NGOs, women-led NGOs in Morocco. And then the following year, I signed up for a fellowship with Engineering World Health, working on some medical device products out of Lebanon and Tanzania. So I didn't work in Silicon Valley during my time in college or in my master's program as well. And all of that is to say that when I did start my job with Tegan after graduating, I think the biggest challenge that I ran into was feeling underestimated. And I think that was in part because people assumed that I didn't have the technical background that I was capable of because of the experiences that I had in college. So again, to echo some of the previous sentiments, my motto, even to this day, is that preparation is key to success. So, sometimes that means going a little bit above and beyond to make sure that you're prepared. And sometimes that's not always fair. But that's how I've been able to find success despite that. And then as well, of course, always, not being afraid to ask questions. So I think those are two points of advice that I would give, as you enter the workforce.
This will be my last question, and then we'll be able to open it up to the audience. So how can SU and industry better support women students, faculty, staff, and professionals in STEM moving forward?
I think just giving women in STEM the opportunities, I think it's definitely very helpful. I know when I was here, I was a part of ACM-W, like I said before, and because of that community and that club, I had so many opportunities to grow my career and learn more about computer science. We went to the Grace Hopper conference. We went to multiple conferences around the Bay Area. We also went to, we led workshops to teach different, topics. So I think that the best thing that these organizations in Santa Clara can do is just continue to have spaces like that for people to grow and feel more included in the space. Because before, I didn't know anyone in CS, and I had 0 friends in computer science. I would just go to my classes and come home. And then after joining that club, I actually had people who I could take classes with. I had people to talk about the homework with, to study for the tests with, to apply to internships and jobs with. So I definitely think that creating a safe space for that community is the most important.
So I think mentorship is probably a large component. I mentioned earlier that at Purdue they have this program called Women in Science. It's actually a cohort of 250 students, women students. They live together, and whenever there's a new student joining the cohort, they automatically get a junior or senior mentor assigned to them. And this kind of the stories I heard from the mentees and the mentors, they learn from each other. But I think we've all had those moments where I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this, or there's some other an event, life-changing event that makes you think you don't want to do this anymore. And having that support of a mentor, someone who's always going to be there all the time for you, maybe not all the time, but you know what I mean, to encourage you and maybe give you a solution or an idea that you didn't think about before, how you can move past this event and continue on. I just feel like that's a very practiced and well-known way to support your fellow students. We actually do this at Google. We call it Mentor N+1, where a new hire will get someone like me assigned to them, and they talk about the problems. I'm not part of this program. I'm not associated with their management at all. They can tell me all kinds of things and talk about their manager, trash talk them or whatever. And my role is to listen to them and maybe give them ideas about how they can deal with the problems they're having. And that's kind of what I would see a program at Santa Clara could do for incoming freshmen or sophomores, to help them move past those troublesome times.
I think one of the most powerful things that we can do as humans is tell stories and share stories. So spaces like this that allow people to share their stories and allow all of you and allow allies, especially the allies, to hear the stories and understand somebody else's perspective is going to change your behavior going forward. So for instance, if I were to share a story about how I was in a boardroom one time and I got introduced to somebody I had never met before, and I held up my hand to shake his hand, and he ignored me and didn't shake my hand back. And if you're listening to that story, what I hope you take away from that is like, wow, that actually happened to a woman in a boardroom. And as a man, you should never ever make somebody feel like that, right? Man or woman, like that's not how we treat people, right? So Santa Clara giving space to people like me, like this panel, but also all of you to share your stories, what you're experiencing in the classroom or the lab with each other. I think that's really powerful, and probably one of the best ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would certainly echo, all of the thoughts have been shared so far on that question. I think groups like this, the community, the fantastic community that you guys have developed here is so important. And I hope that you will meet people through this community that will continue to support you after school as well. I know that was very valuable for me to have those mentors. Even after I left Santa Clara, people I could turn to when I was early on in my career and ask questions, women in STEM and women from the Society of Women Engineers specifically for me, who could give me advice on how to, figure out what my career path would be and ask questions about my colleagues' behavior or my boss's behavior and things like that. Even just having an avenue to vent some of those frustrations was really important. So if anything, I encourage you all to continue these connections. I know a lot of you are probably seniors, so even after you graduate here.
Thank you all. Does anyone in the audience have any questions that they would like to ask our panelists?
Does it?
Thank you. Hi, my name's Sahana, and I'm a senior graduating. And I also worked at Miller Center, so that was cool for you to have shouted that out. And I have also only previously worked for NGOs or nonprofits, and then this past summer I worked for my first real job, like capitalist America job. And it was like a team of me, 20 men, and my intern, and she was also a woman. And we had this strange thing where our bosses were very particular about only talking to us and like only giving us work. And so if I asked her boss for advice or strategy, if I didn't understand something, I was referred to talk to the other boss. And it was a bit confusing. And I think it was a learning moment for me to understand like the hierarchy of like teams in general. But we kind of found ourselves like asking each other questions a lot of the time. And I'm about to start a job this summer, similarly in a role where I've met the entire team and I'll be the only woman. And I'm a little bit worried about like who do I turn to if I also just don't know. And I know that like there is my direct boss and I should be like reporting to him, but what if he's the person that doesn't want to give me that information? It's not necessarily like a doesn't or does not want to, but like a difficult kind of scenario. So I was just looking for advice in terms of how to communicate when it seems like communication isn't happening.
Yeah. So I actually get this question a lot from the people I mentor. They run their problems with their manager or their team, and they don't know. They join a new team. They don't know what to do. What I tell them to do is to actually write down what they want, right? And write down what their goals are. At Google, we actually have a manager who's more of like a people person. They take looking after your career, and then we have a team lead. It's not really your manager, but they're in charge of the projects that you work on. And it is actually their responsibility to make sure that you have the information you need. And what I say is write down what your questions are, go to them, and really just go line by line. Set up a meeting, go line by line about what you want, what you're looking for. If that still isn't working, ask how, what is the, not everybody communicates the same way. So for me, actually being up here isn't the most comfortable thing. I'd much rather be communicating by writing. That's probably, I learn best by reading and writing than I do by speaking and talking or listening. And so maybe the person you're trying to communicate with has a different way of, a different mode of communication than you do. And so that's another way of kind of looking to the solution to the problem is, communicate the right way and be clear about what you want and what you're trying to get out of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of an aside, but when I first joined Tekin, my boss was a man and significantly older than me, and I think I struggled quite a bit at first with receiving constructive criticism from him because I felt that it was excessively targeted at me or whatever. And I think a huge thing that I've learned in the last 5 years working alongside him is that actually that criticism or the advice from him was actually because he cared about my career path and felt that I could do better. So, just something to keep in mind as you get feedback from folks in your career.
We call that assuming positive intent.
Yes.
So that's always a good thing. You strike me as somebody that is going to have no problem communicating with somebody. At least they're going to know how you feel, which I think is great. I think there's a lot of truth to what Mark said about meeting people where they are. I've had people before where I will only call them first thing in the morning because I know I can catch them and I have their undivided attention. And then I have other people who, I have to try to catch in person. So give yourself some time to learn the lay of the land and watch the dynamics because not only is it different for people, it's different for every company. So you might go into a company that only communicates on Slack, and that's great for you because you like to write. But for me, I'm like, we're going back and forth and not solving anything. I have got to talk to you at some point. So you have to kind of sort that out first. And then figure out your plan of attack.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with everything that everyone's saying up here. I think I've definitely been in that position before. I felt like I've had for my internships, my managers were men who were significantly older, and I just felt really shy talking to them or asking them stupid questions that maybe they would really know a lot about, but for me as an intern, it's new for me. So I definitely had trouble communicating like that too. I think the best thing to do is just put yourself out there. I think I completely agree. At the end of the day, your manager's there to help you in your career growth, and most of the time they're very helpful and they care about you and your success. So I definitely say put yourself out there for that. Even if it maybe you feel uncomfortable or maybe it feels like a boys club, I think just keep putting yourself out there. Keep getting to know people, make conversation, ask the questions, and it'll definitely pay off in the end.
Are there any other questions?
Hi, I'm Isabella. I'm an electrical engineering student, and just hearing some of the stories coming from people about how they get disrespect from their coworkers or even their higher ups. I just wanted to ask how you would how would you respond to something like that? If someone doesn't shake your hand or if someone says something that makes you uncomfortable, especially to someone who is higher up than you.
I will tell you that story that I shared. It was really difficult for me because if you've ever been in a boardroom, there's a huge power dynamic happening. And that was certainly not a place or room where I had the power. So the best thing that I could do in that moment is carry on and do my job, so to speak. And I did because I really just wanted to cry, truth be told. There have been other situations in my life where people have not treated me how I felt I should be treated. And I had no problem taking them aside later on and explaining to them why I thought that was horrible. So I think in these situations, you have to decide for yourself what you're going to say, what you're not going to say, and if you are going to say something, when you're going to say it, right? So the best thing that I took away from that experience was that I never wanted to make somebody feel like that, and I wanted to create more spaces where people did not feel like that. So that's how I kind of turned that into power. But I think that, you know, really it's, you have to decide, you know, but wherever I can, it's open and honest communication. Life's too short, and maybe I'm old enough to know this now, like it's just, like I'm not going to get anything out of like not putting it out there and not saying, you know, and setting those expectations and rules for myself. So that's something good that comes with the years. I don't know if I answered your question.
Thank you. If you guys have any final comments or closing statements that you would like to share with us, please feel free to do so.
I think, I just want to say thank you guys all for coming. It makes me, I used to come to these dinners like every year I was here as a student, and it just makes me so happy that now like it's still like it's thriving, it's prospering. I'm happy it's also not in Locatelli anymore. This is a much nicer room. But yeah, I think that all of you guys are doing so amazing, putting yourself out there, being a part of the community, supporting the community. I think that's really the most important thing. And yeah, just keep putting yourself out there, and just remember that you could do anything you put your mind to, and you deserve to be where you are. You deserve all the opportunities coming your way. And that's my closing remarks.
So there's a lot of talk about imposter syndrome and not belonging. And I just want to reiterate that everyone here belongs. Don't ever let someone say you don't belong here. All of you are not here by accident, right? You chose to be here. You chose to come to Santa Clara. You worked very hard to be where you're at now. And I've got no doubt you're going to work very hard on the next stages of your life. And never let someone say that you can't do it or you don't belong. Just do your best, and don't focus on what people say that you can't do. I like to say, when people are like that towards me, I say, well, I don't really think about you at all. So.
This is an incredible community. I am so glad to see that you all have each other, and thank you to Ricky for organizing and including us in this. I think my lasting words of advice would be to find your people, and this is a great start for you all, both in your personal lives. Find somebody who supports you and lifts you up, and in your professional life, do the same thing. You do not have to stay at a company or a place that doesn't serve you well and doesn't accept you and works against you. You can find something else. So do that. Find your people.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone here, so I'll speak for myself when I say it can be easy, I think, at the moment to get a bit down or feel a bit negatively about the climate, both here in the United States and across the world right now. So, you have a beautiful community of women and allies in STEM here at Santa Clara. It's okay to rely on your people, which I know everyone has said today as well. And it's okay to ask for help if you need help. So I'm sure I speak for all of us on the panel. If you feel that any of us can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. And as always, thanks for having us.
Thank you all for your stories and your advice. I know we will truly appreciate it, and we'll take it on with us in our industry and academic career. So thank you all again. Let's please give them one more round of applause.